They're going to make a decision on the COVID laws. The laws that have cut us down in lockdown, laws that are based on untruths and lies, laws that have been brought in by, what's it called, organised crime. No, it is what we are facing. This is what was said in Berlin. We've now got a narrative. What we are dealing with is organised crime involving Big Pharma, involving the banks, involving Bill Gates and the World Health Organization, to name but a few. Right now the people of Britain have got a chance to speak up. There's got consultation now that's going to, a bill that's going to come in on Friday. I just spoke, believe it or not, only about half an hour ago to a high-ranking Tory from the House of Lords. They are not happy with it. Remember, Boris Johnson, he's got 80-seat majority, has had to do 15 U-turns. This is not a leader. This is not a leader that has got the confidence of his party, including Cummins. So what we're going to do now today is read out. The grand jury finds prima facie evidence of pandemic fraud. And that's what we're going to read out now. So when we get to Wednesday and we start to put our MPs and anybody making decisions under the COVID law, we will sue them as an individual. Not as an MP, not as a party, but an individual. This has worked in the past, it will work again. This is using their own laws against them. All right, and the true laws as well, by the way. The truth is going to undo and unpick every single thing that's gone on. So every person that's suffered, every elderly person that's died in a nursing home, every person that's died at home because they were sent home and then picked up by the police, when they've died alone, when they listened to Boris Johnson and the fraud and said, if you feel ill, go home, do not go to your NHS. This is genocide, and I'm here to make sure that Boris Johnson, Matt Hancock and others go to prison. The truth is out. No more, enough. When I saw last Saturday, when there was a military, not last Saturday, Saturday before, a military operation against victims of sexual abuse, adults that have been abused, their children being taken off them, protecting their children. Victims, when I saw the military operation by the Metropolitan Police and the City of London Police, all recorded and can be found on my site, Geza, G-E-Z-A, Tariani, T-A-R-J-A-N-Y-I. Anybody can share that, anybody can take any videos off my site, because this is evidence against a government that are in free fall. Boris Johnson is only 4 steps away from prison. I am a law-abiding citizen. I am a law-abiding citizen. I am a law-abiding citizen. And I'm here to make sure that justice is done for all the victims that have suffered, all the people that lost their jobs, all the people that are going to lose their homes. I am here to make sure that we have justice. Here is the evidence. Here are the true experts and scientists. So this was posted on the 9th of May 2020 by Bernician. It's a grand jury finds prima facie evidence of pandemic fraud. On Thursday, 7th of May 2020, a sovereign grand jury was convened in virtual and secure sessions in the British Isles, under the protection of the Treaty of Universal Community Trust, to consider allegations in relation to the coronavirus pandemic. Can we just, guys, excuse me? Guys, just, right, it's very important we get this completely clear, all right? So, the jury was asked to rule on whether there was sufficient evidence of a pandemic fraud. Upon the evidence submitted into the public domain by numerous doctors, experts and eyewitnesses to justify a formal grand jury investigation, there now follows a summary of allegations presented. Legal definitions: fraud, a false representation of matter of fact, whether they be words or by conduct, by false or misleading allegations, or by concealment of what should be disclosed, that deceives and is intended to deceive others so that the individual will act upon it to her or his legal injury. There's a contact on there. Coronavirus. Any of the family of a single strand of RNA viruses that infect mammals and birds, causing respiratory infections such as the common cold and SARS, SARS in humans, and that have spiked on glycoproteins projections from the vital envelope. Pandemic. 1. Widespread general medical epidemic over a wide geographic area and affecting a large proportion of the population. Background. In January 2020, the UK government classified the COVID-19 strain of coronavirus as a high consequence infectious disease, HCID in brackets, following a world panic over the alleged pandemic which originated from Wuhan, China. Then on the 16th of the 3rd, 2020, Neil Ferguson of Imperial College, London, claimed that 500,000 British people would be killed by COVID-19, based upon the Bill Gates financed university predictive computer model. In the event, Brits just carried on as normal. However, on the 19th of the 3rd, 2020, COVID-19 was reclassified by the UK government from being a serious public health risk to an easy manageable one. Only emergency, truth being told, based upon the Bill Gates financed university predictive computer model. In the event, British just carried on as normal. However, on the 19th of the 3rd, 2020, COVID-19 was reclassified by the UK government from being a serious public health risk to an easy manageable one. There we go, put my foot over there, that's right. Only 2 months after being declared a high consequence infectious disease. So they actually flipped and said it was low risk. Lockdown. Nevertheless, on the 23rd of the 3rd, 2020, the UK government imposed a voluntary indefinite domestic prison sentence upon the population of Britain in the name of keeping people safe and protecting the alleged of stretched National Health Service. This will, by the way, be uploaded and put onto this video when we upload it. 2 days later, on the 25th of the 3rd, 2020, the Coronavirus Act 2020 was rushed through Parliament on the alleged grounds that the country was in grave danger from a viral pandemic, which the government had already reclassified on the 19th of the 3rd from being considered a serious threat to being no more threatening than a common cold or influenza. Unconstitutional legislation. This is the biggie. The Coronavirus Bill, HC Bill 122 in brackets, was purportedly enacted without the conventional parliamentary scrutiny and debate, purportedly to keep people safe and free from harm and to save the NHS during this alleged public health emergency. However, the following powers it proposed to authorise under the provision of the Civil Contingency Act of 2004 represented fundamental breaches of Magna Carta. The Act of Settlement, which constitutionally forbid the suspension of the undeniable rights and the protections guaranteed by the common law. Forced detention and isolation of anyone, including children, and for any amount of time. Authorities can take biological samples from your body by force, including at the point of a gun. Your body will then be claimed as property of the state, to do with as it sees fit. There is no right of appeal. Nobody's legal rights are recognised in the yet unidentified isolation facilities which are quickly being built around the country. Remember, this was back in May. Emergency powers will last up to 2 years, with review every 6 months and unrestricted options to extend they extend indefinitely. That's what's up on this Friday. Lockdown powers are being drafted so that they can be used to prevent mass protest against the totalitarian measures imposed. State surveillance safeguards have effectively been abolished, authorising total surveillance of every aspect of our lives. In the 5G control grid they are erecting while everybody else is imprisoned in their homes. Protection from forced detainment and cruel and unnecessary treatment under the Mental Health Act have been relaxed indefinitely. Cremations can be enforced against personal and religious views. No inquest into suspicious deaths will be held until further notice. I'm going to read that one again. No inquest into any suspicious deaths will be held until further notice. No requirements for any medical certification for burials or cremations are now required. This is our evidence. This is what you can present to your MPs. The health service has been indemnified should they fail for whatever reason to provide care to people who need it, or if they administer forced treatment and the patient dies as a result. Only one government appointed medical officer is required to sign off a compulsory treatment order, which means you can be forcibly medicated or held down and injected with whatever it sees fit. By whomsoever you're caring for or compensate, government chooses to answer to nobody but them. Local authorities are also now exempt from compliance with their duties under the Care Act of 2014, but they are still sending parking bandits to fine you for parking in front of the home you are being imprisoned in. If someone dies in police custody or any type of custody, they can simply dispose of the body without any paperwork, medical exam or certification or inquest. I guarantee some of your MPs will not know about this. Some of the House of Lords will not know about this. Any criticism of government policy is a summary public order offence, which I am guilty of. Just so we are clear, any criticism of government policy is a summary public order offence. Guilty as charged. I'll see you in court. Until they end the state of emergency, liable to fine and imprisonment without trial. Ferguson backtracks, but lockdown continues. Almost inexplicably, on the same day the Coronavirus Act was passed by Parliament, which promptly dissolved till further notice, Ferguson publicly admitted his predictions were woefully inaccurate. Woefully inaccurate. And that upon reflection, there should be no more than 10 to 20,000 UK deaths. Now remember, that is of COVID, right? COVID. Not suicides, not got run over by a train, and if you had COVID in your system, having a COVID death. This is dying of COVID itself. And we're round about that figure. In fact, we're a lot less. However, the UK government proceeded to ignore the corrected mortality predictions, as well as its own reclassification of the disease as not being serious public health risk, and the lockdown continued with the aggressively renewed totalitarian vigour. Somebody got me some water? Has anybody got any water?
Do you want sparkling or not really?
Anything. Sparkling, posh. I'm in London.
Pellegrino! We're not still as well.
Yeah, no, fine. Right, here we go. Questions of legitimacy. This naturally gave rise to questions of such significance to everybody in Britain and the rest of the world, which has almost entirely followed suit. If the UK government knew COVID-19 was not a serious public health risk on the 19th of the 3rd, 2020, why did Parliament pass the coronavirus bill 6 days later? Upon the available evidence, the only logical answer is that the bill was passed in order to use manufactured public health crisis as a mask for totalitarian power grab, on the basis that the unconstitutional status of the regulations which arose out of it purport to place the UK government, the NHS and the councils beyond being held accountable for their actions by the people. Why else would they have the truth? Why else would they have used their landslide majority in Parliament to ram through a bill which suspends the legal rights to remove the government from office until they do so? Until they say so, I should say. Whilst everybody involved in these critical investigations sincerely wishes... Guys, what it is, they just pick up what's being said in the background. Whilst everybody involved in these critical investigations sincerely wishes it was otherwise, the facts dictate that there is simply no other rational explanation as to why the government is relying upon plainly dishonest statements which call into question the very legitimacy of this Parliament. And as many of you know, they have already broken international law. I'll wait till that bus goes, so... Gonna wait till the bus goes. I want Downing Street to hear every single damning word. So the element of fraud for an alleged allegation of criminal fraud to be proven at law, the following elements must be in place. Number one, party knowingly relies upon the dishonest statement for the purpose of procuring material gain. 2. Party B is caused to rely on by actions of Party A. 3. Party B, in brackets, and Party C, D and E, etc., whatever appropriate, end brackets, suffers losses, in brackets, or might have suffered them, close brackets, as a direct result of relying on the dishonest statements of Party A. Number 4, Party A becomes guilty of committing fraud the moment they obtain material gain from relying upon their dishonest statements, whether Party B and C suffer losses or not. A matter of public record. In this case, it is a matter of public record that Party A, the UK government, appears to have made dishonest statements to Party B, Parliament, and Party C, the people, for the purpose of procuring unacceptable totalitarian power. It is also indisputable that Party B was caused to rely on those dishonest statements, which results in the passing of the coronavirus bill, which legally mandate Party C to rely upon the dishonest statements without recourse to criticism government policy or removing them from office in a democratic plebiscite. Plebiscite. Party B would therefore cause the loss of the means to carry out its primary constitutional purpose, to oversee, scrutinise and block any attempt by a government to grant itself powers which are unaccountable to the free and sovereign people of Britain. Furthermore, in relying upon the government's dishonest statement, Party C was caused the loss of the democratic right to remove them from office, as well as the unalienable rights to free speech, free assembly, freedom of movement, freedom of consciousness, freedom of religion, and the right to private family life, to free trade, to presume innocent until proven guilty before common law jury. Summary of dishonest statements. Here is a summary of the dishonest statements allegedly made by Party A in relation to COVID-19 pandemic, based solely on the evidence publicly submitted by experts in the fields of virology, microbiology, immunology, medicine, vaccines and healthcare. The names of whom are compiled in the references at the bottom of this post. Allegations of false representation. Number one, COVID-19 is a serious public health risk which justifies the draconian measures taken. Number two, COVID-19 is a pandemic of naturally occurring virus rather than having been manufactured by Bill Gates' financed vaccine industry. Number three, COVID-19 is a serious threat to National Health Service, which justifies refusing to treat people with serious illnesses and classifying every death since lockdown as COVID death. We know that that is now a lie. It has now been admitted by Public Health England, amongst a few others. Number four, COVID-19 is an airborne, naturally contagious virus, rather than a chemically manufactured poison which can be sprayed in the air, added to liquids or injected into the body. Number five, COVID-19 cannot be controlled without widespread vaccinations when vaccine necessarily contains the virus it is supposed to prevent. Number six, COVID-19 has been cause of every UK death since the lockdown began, since when every fatal heart attack, stroke, brain hemorrhage, car crash and suicide has been falsely recorded. Number seven, lockdown measures are keeping the public safe and saving the NHS, when the UK has suffered the highest death rates per million of all lockdown and not lockdown European nations, and hospital wards are empty all over the country. Allegations of non-disclosure. Wait till the bus has gone past. Here is a list of alleged facts that Party A failed to disclose to the Parliament and the people. Number one, COVID-19 was reclassified as not being a serious public health risk 6 days before the coronavirus bill was enacted by Parliament. Number two, all coronavirus strains, including COVID-19, were created by institutions, foundations, companies engaged in the development, production, manufacture and distribution of vaccines. Number three, COVID-19 is putting less stress on the NHS than it withstood during every previous annual flu season. Number four, viruses are not naturally contagious, whether airborne or otherwise. Let's read that one again. Don't extradite Assange. That's just gone past Downing Street. Number five, South Korea minimised COVID-19 deaths with widespread use of vitamin C, whilst a combination of quinine and zinc is curing all symptoms. Slowest buses ever, these, aren't they? South Korea minimised COVID-19 deaths with widespread use of vitamin C, whilst combination of quinine and zinc is curing symptoms within 12 to 36 hours in countries all over the world. That is a damning statement. Number six, I think what it is, people, we're attracting interest. People of the UK want to know the truth. Number six, the UK's official COVID death rate includes those caused by any other disease, heart attacks, road traffic accidents and natural causes, and suicide. Number seven, lockdown measures have resulted in a massive increase in the number of UK deaths by suicide, which will continue to increase as long as the domestic captivity lasts. Number eight, the government's chief medical officer, Chris Whitty, received a substantial amount of money from Bill Gates Foundation, which is heavily invested in forcing mandatory vaccinations upon the world. Number nine, Imperial College London received a similar massive grant from the Gates Foundation. Number 10, Matt Hancock, the Secretary of State for Health, is CEO of Porton Biopharma Limited, a company engaged in the development of vaccines. Number 11, Porton Biopharma Limited is the modern version of Portadown, a military-controlled institution which was scandalised when it was revealed that it had secretly tested nerve gas on unsuspected victims, many of whom were killed or maimed. The shame on this country. Number 12, Oxford University, the Jenner Institute that I visited on at least 3 occasions. Vaccitech, V-A-C-C-I-T-E-C-H, and GlaxoSmithKline, the entities engaged in developing, producing, manufacturing and distributing a vaccine for the UK, have all received funding from the Gates Foundation, in brackets, or other Gates-controlled entities. Conclusion. Unanimously, the grand jury ruled that there is enough prima facie evidence to justify a hearing of the experts and the eyewitnesses to testimony under oath, which will take place at the earliest opportunity, for the 2020 Act to be formally declared and nullified on the grounds its provisions, in brackets, including subsequent regulations, close brackets, are unlawfully and incapable of enforcement under common law. The grand jury must rule that the allegations of a pandemic fraud are proven beyond reasonable doubt. These are the experts that we can reference: Andrew Kaufman, Rashid Buttar, Dr. Mohammed Iqbal Abdil, John Bergman, Professor Sukarat Bakati, Newt Whittam PhD, Scott Jensen, Jay Bhattacharya, John A. Lee, Sherry Tenpenny, John Lonadis, Scott Perlman, making sure we get all these experts in. Dr. Erickson, Judy Mikovits, a true hero, and Dr. Jeffrey Barkay. All these people are heroes. All these doctors bravely stood up when the cowards in our NHS, when the doctors in our NHS never stood on this stage, never spoke up. Shame on them. They will be outed. Every single one of them that have not spoken up about the truth, what has gone on in the NHS. This is going to be uploaded onto this video. Share this with everybody. Add this and my previous video, which I read out in front of Scotland Yard on last Friday, that the police are our best evidence of the COVID lie. When they are in the back of their vans, in the smallest space, merely 6 centimetres apart, not 6 feet, and not one has died of COVID. This is the biggest fraud ever. This is organised crime. Big Pharma, Bill Gates, the World Health Organization, Boris Johnson, Matt Hancock and other ministers are guilty as charged. My name is Gaza Fratman. Justice for the child. If we do not act now, our children will be slaves. Don't forget, we need millions on the street to peacefully protest. Bring chairs. If you bring chairs, you are passive. If we do this peacefully, Boris Johnson and that problem has gone. He's already emptied Westminster. We just finished the job. This is corruption at the heart of government. It is now time to make them all accountable and strip those people that are part of organised crime, Big Pharma, banks and the oligarchs, to be stripped of their fortunes and bring back to the people. Peace and justice for all. Bye now. Love you guys. So send that everywhere. Send that to everybody. to the four corners of this country, England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales, and our friends in Ireland. Brilliant. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for the brave ones, the brave souls.
Absolutely, Danny. Crime of the century. Just like they... Hang on. Just like they lied to you in our boys' case, they're lying to you now. Could they pull this all off? Of course they could, because their weapon is the media. And the media is there to keep you in fear. And it's fear that they want and use to control you. And when you're in fear, you just do what they want. They're not here to protect us. They've never cared about you. They're allowing death and murder on our streets and covering it up, not just our boys. I've met many women, many families out here and pain and suffering. It's not just us. It wasn't just Josh, Harry and George. It's many. So everyone, if I don't see you before, I'll be doing a live on Saturday. Thank you for sharing and caring. And take care. Never surrender, ever.